All righty then. This. All right. All righty. That was pretty quick. Wow. That was super quick this morning. Just a second. Chat, I am setting up. Ooh, it's morning again. It's morning again, chat. How are we today? Why did I close that one? All right. There. Cool. So, good morning, 07 everybody. It's I think about 11:10 CDT here where I live. And here in just a few moments, we're going to get into Inside Star Citizen and get started. So, yeah. So, that being said, so how is chat this morning? Fun, having a good one, you know, whatever's curiosity. Into ISC. Okay. So we're going to go with there we go. And for my video capture, I'm going to make myself a little smaller. I'm still here, chat, but yeah.
The upcoming Pyro system. It's dangerous, obviously. It's lawless, certainly. But it's not all just chaos and carnage completely. It's also people just trying to make their living where they can in a place that's challenging and pretty different from the adjacent Stanton system. From repairing your neighbor's generator to supporting the nearby farmers, there's much you can do to be a social and upstanding citizen for Pyro's prosperity.
think that's our first good look at
The
Pyro
planets
1.
of Pyro are different from Stanton in the fact that they all have to deal with the Pyro star system being at the end of its life cycle, emitting huge amounts of solar flare radiation, and we have to consider, like, what is that actually doing
Yeah,
to
that's a
each planet?
really good look at
Naturally,
Pyro 1.
Pyro 1, closest to the sun, is going to be the heaviest influence of the solar flare firing off. So how do those people live? But the people furthest away
Wow, okay. This is the first time we've seen Pyro 6 Terminus from space. Look at this, chat. It's kind of a burnt-looking planet still, but yeah.
from the star on Pyro 6 are going to have the least amount of radiation, but it's also going to be super cold at the same time. Away from the star on Pyro 6 are going to have the least amount of radiation, but
Doesn't look like there's much on it. It's frozen like Microtech. So for those of you who love Microtech, this planet's probably more your style and your feel. That looks like frozen and cold.
it's also going to be super cold at the same time. How do those people live instead?
In Stanton, you have huge landing zones, which are very protected, very safe, lots of security. In Pyro, there's no such thing. You're very exposed to the danger. Everything is a lot more spread out. People aren't huddled into landing zones. They have the entirety of the system to roam across.
There are no central sources of power in the Pyro star system. It's all decentralized, and each outpost has its own different identity and what it means for you as a player. As you go to these different places, should you be aligned with one faction, you can visit these locations.
Noticing some new armor too.
Should you align with another faction, you can go to these other locations instead.
You've got a lot more to do there. So instead of going down, doing a mission, flying away again, you can go down, do a mission, do another mission, do a third mission, and then go to another outpost on the same planet, do some missions there. You have a much more involved experience.
So let's look at some of the places you'll be visiting. So farmsteads are a small slice of life within the Pyro star system to get you introduced to what it's like to live there.
Landing complete.
There are places to gather harvestables, places to complete your missions, and ultimately your first introduction to how people live in the Pyro star system.
Farms are probably one of my favorite ones, just because I really like the
Yes.
vibe of
Yes, Jim, those are tattoos. You can earn them with your affiliation with certain factions.
them.
Is the closest thing to a home feeling I think you'll find in Pyro. You feel like there's
affiliation
a smaller
with-
community living here.
There's a lot more fields of crops, there's a lot more greenhouses. For the lawless ones, we've got these like
I have no
farm
idea
greenhouses,
about
which
the
are really
alien
cool as
artifacts
well.
thing. I think you're supposed to
They
be able
tend
to
to be
sell
in a lot
them.
more open, plain-like areas, big fields of crops around them.
There is things to do, there's things to harvest, but it's also just the vegetation that kind of sits on a lot of the desolate landscapes that we have in Pyro. Give you a little bit of this mini feeling of like a little oasis.
There's one in particular on Pyro 2 that's really nice. It
Here's
has this really nice
Monox.
vibe, that kind of like
That
lazy
looks like Tatooine kind of.
windmill circling in the breeze on a plain that's just like almost featureless apart from these few buildings on it. That really gives especially at sunset, like really gives an amazing vibe of like these people live in the ass end of nowhere but are really trying to do their best to survive.
There are going to be some goods that are only grown in Pyro because of its unique star system that can be shipped back to Stanton.
We have a whole bunch of new mission types that you'll be able to do there. Then they're more geared around repairing pieces of machinery. We have what we call charge drain technology coming over from Squadron, which enables you to transfer an electrical charge. from
Finally,
one component
something on
to another.
charge
So you can,
drain.
like, jumpstart a generator.
We haven't
for
heard
example.
anything about
There's
Weevil
scope for
eggs,
much
maybe.
more gathering type
Look
of
at this.
missions, like going
Charge
out
and
into the
Drain
field,
has been on the
collecting
back
crops.
burner. Okay. Charge and Drain has been on the back burner for years, chat. A lot of people remember that, right? Charge and Drain. It's been on the development path for many, many years. So, yeah. This place is going to be very different from Stanton. It was on the roadmap for a while, and then it dipped out for a bit. I don't remember why, but there had to have been a reason.
There's a big focus on non-combat at a place like a farm.
Next, let's talk about scrapyards.
Scrapyards.
The scrapyards are one of the few locations within the Pyrostar system where you can actually service your ship that is not on space stations or LEOs.
We'll have more scrap in a scrapyard, which makes a lot of sense, but we've got the towering cranes with derelict spaceships in there, the skeletons of spaceships being pulled apart.
And we can see that there is a certain order to things where things get disassembled and moved around, and where your aircrafts are getting refueled and repaired. There will be little shops as well to kind of get you on the way for your journey.
And we've got these large landing pits in all the scrapyards that are unique to the scrapyards, which are the big sort of sunken pits for repairing, rearming, refueling. They kind of bring that kind of unique, okay, this is a scrapyard because I know that there's a landing pit here, and they're the only types of outposts that have those.
Landing complete.
Here, you're able to interact with Chrysler services, refuel your ship, repair your ship, even rearm your ship as well. In addition to servicing your ship, you can also service the scrapyard itself. You've got to use your charge and drain tools to be able to repair pipes, repair canisters, any faults in machinery, etc.
It's very much about taking things apart and organizing
Sounding
them
like
and
there's
shipping
going to
them
be a
off
lot
again.
more stuff to do
But
in
unlike the
Pyro.
landing zones within the Stanton system, there is no air traffic controller. There is nobody to filter out where you can go. You simply choose a parking space, you land there, you service your ship, and you must fly out.
These places are going to be hotbeds of competitive, I fully believe. Hotbed competitive, we'll see. But don't expect to be able to land here without a fight at some of them, depending on how they're used. That's how I see it. No, this is, you want me to rewind, Pagan? This is in Pyro. They have freaking, this is, I think on one of the Pyro planets. Can't remember which one they said, but Pyro is going to be, have a ton of scrap yards. They're going to be some of the few places to repair on the surface of planets. They really should, and they probably will eventually, Pagan, because that's probably what's going to eventually happen. The stuff they're doing in other areas of the game tends to filter back. Have you noticed? It kind of does. Blackjack Bill? Yeah, he would. You mean Blackjack Bill, right? Yeah. Blackjack would enjoy that, yes. I agree, and it fits his play style, too. Yeah. All good. It's all good. Anyways, we're going to keep going.
The new mission type that we have is
Appreciate you
salvaging,
stopping in
but
today.
the
That
first
was
person,
this is helpful.
So you don't need to be in a ship. It will be something that you can do on foot. So
You can also
salvaging-
do hand salvage on foot with panels in these areas. These scrap yards are going to be repair, refuel, scrapping.
all the various panels which have turned up at the scrapyards in order to process them.
Oh yeah,
Another
these places
piece
are
of
going to be
non-combat
definitely.
gameplay at scrapyards might be repairing machinery. We have a system which uses the resource
See, I have
network and engages
okay,
it.
Pagan. I have no problem with legit pirates. Okay, people who want something, people who give me X for or give me credits for safe passage. Yar, you get what I'm saying? They want something from you, right? Piracy typically dictates a trade for safe passage. That's what I was always under the impression, you know? Not just we kill you and take everything. I could be wrong. I mean, there are different people who play differently, you know, but. Yeah, and you see, there are legitimate pirates, and then there are gankers. Pagan gankers give you guys a bad name. Okay, legit pirates. Hey! It's happened to me. I played stupid. I'll just say that. Hang on a minute. What is all this shit?
In missions, so you will be able to, for example, if there's
Whoa.
which is in missions, so you will be able to, for example.
Look at this, guys. Battery packs. Yeah, well said, Jim. Look at this, gentlemen. We have battery packs.
And engages it in missions. So you
This
will
is
be
new.
able to, for example, if there's a broken piece of machinery, you'll be able to find a working piece of machinery.
What does this say? Relay, ship item, refinery. Okay, so this is a slot at a refinery. See, because it says relay, ship item, refinery. So this is a relay panel. Okay.
Rip components and fuses and parts out of that, apply it to the broken
Sorry,
one,
Pagan,
and
I
make
was trying
that
to pay
run
attention to
instead.
what this
But
is.
Of course, you've broken the first machine by doing that.
Without any landing zones in the Pyro Star system, we're using scrapyards to be able to help service your ships so that you can navigate to other locations on the planet, as well as get back up into space as well.
Engineering
But
item,
the largest
exactly.
concentration of player activity is going to be happening at the trade posts.
Trade posts.
The trade posts are where the player is going
Now this looks like semi-settled. Look at this, guys. This town right
to
here,
be dealing.
this looks more like a mid-sized settlement, doesn't it? Doesn't look like it's uninhabited. This is probably on Bloom by the sky in the open air market. So I wonder if they'll have some history set up on this one.
With trade and commodity organizing themselves.
Yeah, this
into
has to be
different
on
groups
Bloom.
in order to purchase different food, water, ship weapons, ship components, armor, grenades, med pens, whatever, you name it, it can be found and sold here.
They focus quite heavily on hauling, delivery, and shuttling goods around.
Trader posts are organized by several different factions within the Pyrostar system. At these different locations, you might find different inventory, different perks, different goods. So if you're aligned with Citizens for Prosperity, you might visit locations such as Jackson Swap on Pyro 2 or Conard View on Pyro 6. Conard View is in a very cold location that's very inhospitable, but people still need to be able to service and trade and do things around this planet. You can find different goods, different resources there, all being sold at this location. As Conard
Where?
View is sheltered
Point
within
it
a
out.
crater.
Jim, where did you see that helmet again? Show me. Did I miss it just now? Deep sea diver helmet. There was two. How far back? You know?
It is also a safer location. As Conard goods and trade location, that's very inhospitable, but people still need to be on our view on Pyro. If you're aligned with Citizens for our view on Pyro 6. Conard Swap and Pyro 2. Aligned with Citizens for Prosperity, you might visit locations such as Jackson Swap and Pyro 2, or for different factions within the Pyrostar system. At these different locations, you might find.
There it is. Okay. I see it. Yeah, it's a different color this time. See it? Right there. This blue color one. That's a new color. The ones we saw were kind of a gray color. This is a different color. Kind of a gray scale kind of color. See it? That is a good question, Jim. Will we be able to go deep sea diving? Very good question. It's a really, really good question. Let's see, we have this. We also have some devices and stuff. So, yeah. It makes one wonder, what's this for, right? What is this for? Why are we showcasing this helmet so much? Gadgets for mining, yeah. Diving into water would be really cool, though. I mean, awesome, man. All right. All right. ISC was very interesting. Luna, how are you? And they showed off a couple of the faces of the new planets we're getting. I could show you really quick. Oh 07 Luna, how are you? Anyways, Jim and I were noticing something, right, Jim? This helmet, this guy right here, if you can see where my cursor is being shown a lot, right, Jim? And now we have a color variant, a blue one and a gray one. So what's the deal, CIG? What's with this helmet? Why are we being shown it so much? The planets are cool. Okay, right. I'll show you a couple of them. We're going to rewind a little bit.
But it's not all just cannon up
It's
here.
all right. Hang on. Here's Pyro
The planets
1.
of Pyro
Oh,
differ
hold on.
from
It does look like a diving helmet. Jim was just saying that. Look at this. This is Pyro 1. And look how close we are to the sun. Guys, look at the sun. Bright. We are super close.
So the planets of Pyro are different from the Stanton in the fact that they all have to deal with the Pyro star system being at the end of its life cycle, emitting huge amounts of solar flare radiation, and we have to consider, like, what is that actually doing
This
to each
planet's
planet?
going to be really
Naturally,
hot.
Pyro 1, closest to the sun, is going to be the heaviest influence of the solar flare firing off. So how do those people live? But the people furthest away
Here's Pyro 6. It kind of looks cold. Look how far away the sun is here. Yeah, definitely, Jim. This is
from
Pyro
the star
6.
on Pyro 6 are going to have
It kind of has a frosted, kind of cold look to it. Almost looks like Pluto to me, Luna. Yeah, like a Plutonian-like planet. Yeah, the cyclone's cool, isn't it? Doesn't this look like a ice dwarf? Well, Pyro 6 is considered a dwarf planet. Yeah, no worries. Pyro 6 is considered a dwarf or mesoplanet, so it's really tiny. Well, it is small. We'll simply have to get used to it, Jim.
The least amount of radiation, but it's also going to be super cold at the same
It's also cold. See how thin the atmosphere is here? It's more of a haze or a fog. It's got, this may not be liquid water. I'm thinking ethane or something at this distance.
time. How do those people live instead?
In Stanton, you have huge landing zones, which are very protected, very safe, lots of security. In Pyro, there's no such thing. You're very exposed to the danger. Everything is a lot more
Me
spread
too.
out. People aren't huddled into landing zones. They have the entirety of the
You can
system
haul
to
butt
run
and
across.
get lost real quick, Jim.
There are no central sources of power in the Pyro star system. It's all
Pyro
decentralized.
5
and each
also
outpost
looks
has its
really
own different
good,
identity
Luna.
and what it means
You'll
to
see
use a
it
player as you
later
go
in
to
the,
different places. Should you be aligned with
episode.
one faction, you can visit these locations. Should you align with another faction, you can go to these other locations instead.
You've got a lot more to do there. So instead of going down,
And yes,
doing
Jim,
a
those
mission,
are,
flying away again,
tattoos
you
you
can, go down,
can
do a
earn.
mission, do another mission, do a third mission,
Specific to
and then
factions.
get to another outpost on the same planet, do some missions there. You have a much more involved experience.
So let's look at some of the places you'll be visiting. So farmsteads are a small slice of life within the Pyro star system to get you introduced to what it's like to live there.
Landing complete.
There are places to gather harvestables, places to complete your missions, and ultimately your first introduction to how people live in the Pyro star system.
Farms are probably one of my favorite ones, just because I really like the vibe of them.
Is the closest thing to a home feeling I think you'll find in Pyro. You feel like there's a smaller community living here.
There's a lot more fields of crops, there's a lot more greenhouses. For the lawless ones, we've got these like grub farm greenhouses, which are really cool as well.
I'm noticing a lot more new
They tend to be in a
armors
lot
and
more
weapons.
open, plain-like areas, big fields of crops around them.
There is things to do, there's things to harvest, but it's also just the vegetation that kind of sits on a lot of the
Nice.
desolate landscapes that we have in Pyro. Give you a little bit of this mini
They
feeling
are,
of
aren't
like
they,
a
Luna?
little oasis.
Hang on.
There's one in particular on Pyro 2 that's really nice and has this really nice vibe, that kind of like lazy.
I missed it.
Of them.
Is the closest thing to a home.
The scrapyards are one of the few locations
It
within
really
the Pyro star
is.
system where you can actually
You know, I
service
wonder
your
what
ship
we're
that
gonna
is
see at
not
SitCon,
on space
Jim.
stations or LEOs.
When you think
We'll
about
have more
it,
scrap in a scrapyard, which
You have to
makes a
wonder.
lot of sense. But we've got the towering cranes with derelict spaceships in there, the skeletons of spaceships. being
dare I
pulled
say it,
apart.
And we can see that there is a certain order to things where things get disassembled
They
and
will.
moved around.
They'll have the cargo
where
elevators
your aircrafts
now.
are getting refueled and repaired. There will be a little
which
switch as
now,
well
due to
kinda get you on the
324,
way for your
they
journey.
actually
And
work.
we've got these large landing pits in all the scrapyards that are unique.
Oh
to the
wait, these pits are the hangar stuff that goes down, repairs your ship, and then you take off. What do you bet me in Pyro? What do you bet me? These circular pits are where, like on your personal hangars. These are where you land, get your ship repaired, you know, or stored if it's part of an outpost, right? Because if you look, There are cargo elevators out here somewhere. I'm pretty sure. We'll just have to wait and see, Jim. This is going to be interesting.
Scrapyards, which are the big sort of sunken pits for repairing, rearming, refueling. They kind of bring that kind of unique, okay, this is a scrapyard because I know that there's a landing pit here, and they're the only types of outposts that have those.
Landing complete.
Here,
We'll
you're
have
able
to see,
interact with
Jim.
financial services, refuel your ship, repair your ship, even rearm your ship as well. In addition to servicing your ship,
That's the
you
new
can also
Moby
service
Glass, though.
the scrapyard itself.
So-
You got to use your charge and drain tools to be able to
See, and this is new too. This right here. Repairing stuff at all.
repair pipes, repair canisters, any faults in machinery, etc.
It's very much about taking things apart and organizing them and shipping them off again.
But unlike the landing zones within the Sentinel system, there is no air traffic controller. There is nobody to filter out where you can go. You simply choose a parking space, you land there, you service your ship, and you must fly out.
The new mission type that we have is salvaging, but in first person. So you don't need to be in a ship. It will be something that you can do on foot. So salvaging all the various panels which have turned up at the scrapyards in order to process them. Another piece of non-combat gameplay at scrapyards might be repairing machinery. We have a system which uses the resource network and engages it in missions.
Yeah, me
so
too.
You will be able to, for example,
This
if
is
there's a
already
broken
in
piece of
game,
machinery,
Jim?
You will be able to find a working piece of machinery, rip components and fuses and parts out of that, apply it to the broken one, and make that run instead. But of course, you've broken the first machine.
Okay.
Without any landing zones in the Pyro Star system, we're using scrapyards to be able to help service your ships so that you can navigate to other locations on the
there's-
planet, as well as get back up into space as well.
But your
But
ship,
the larger
I don't know if
concentration
you
of
can
player
repair
activity is gonna be
ships
happening
at
at the trade posts.
scrapyards, Jim.
The trade
I've
posts
never
are
been
where
able
the
to
player
do
is going
that.
to be dealing with trade and commodity, organizing themselves between different groups in order to purchase different food, water, ship weapons, ship components, armor.
Yeah, but that's
grenades,
not what
med
they're
tents,
talking
whatever,
about.
you name
They're
it, it
talking
can be
about
found and sold here.
scrapyards
They
have
focus quite
repair
heavily
bays.
on hauling,
for ships,
delivery,
Jim.
and shuttling goods around.
Trader posts are organized by several different factions within the Pyro Star system. At these different
You're
locations, you might
misunderstanding.
find different inventory, different perks, different goods. So if you're
Wait a minute.
aligned with Citizens for Prosperity, you might visit locations such as Jackson Swamp
Okay.
on Pyro 2 or Conard View on Pyro 6. Conard View is in a very cold location that's very inhospitable, but people still need to be able to service and trade and do things around this planet. You can find different goods, different resources there, all being sold at this location. As Conard View is sheltered within a crater, it is also a safer location away from other headhunter gangs nearby, so you've got fewer people competing for your wares or trying to pirate from you either. Jackson Swamp is sheltered between these two different cliff bluffs, offering them lots of protection. And through there we went for a spaghetti western style main thoroughfare with lots of different landing
Yeah, it
pads
is.
around.
The TARDIS again, Luna. Look, the TARDIS of magic.
And because it's well established, it's got some nice defensive measures so that it can't be immediately attacked by any rogue factions within Pyro.
We see in Jackson Swamp, it's a hard environment that these people live in. It's not an easy living.
Visually, it echoes like the rest of the sort of art style that we call the sort of frontier art style.
If we look at the buildings, we see that there's a lot of stucco elements. There's
Yes,
a lot of
it is.
makeshift little knickknacks
Yeah,
that people
Doctor
have
Who
gathered from
TARDIS.
around the Pyro system.
It's a mixture of that hard scrabble life and people trying to make the best of what they have and repairing things over and over again and like replacing things that break.
You can see that the way that people are living there, it's very makeshift. Rooms were built to have a certain purpose, but have lost that purpose many years ago.
There's still that sort of decorative, artisanal, craftsman-like elements in there as well, with the rough weave rugs and things like that. So we're trying to really like push that homesteading vibe, in complete opposition to things like the space stations and, you know, Microtech, which up to now has been this very corporate, lots of metal, lots of angles, lots of edges, lots of sci-fi. This is supposed to soften off all those corners.
You as a player can land whatever size ship you have, purchase whatever size ship components and ship weapons you might want to have. You can visit the local warehouse or order any potential things that you might need to have, commodities, food, etc. Where anybody needs to be able to get something, purchase it, collect it. This is where all the players are going to be collecting. But maybe you align yourself with headhunters and you visit locations like Gone of Steel and Golden Riviera. Gone of Steel is a smaller outlaw trade post perched in Pyro 4's massive crater.
This is on Pyro 4. This is a planet we've seen very little of since it orbits Pyro 5. I don't think we've been here very much, guys.
It's there as a stopgap between Pyro 3 and Pyro 6 because there is not much landmass around.
Here it is. Here's Pyro 5, folks. Finally from space. Luna.
Pyro 5. Pyro 5.
Pyro 5, finally. The big gas giant of the Pyro system. Kind of a yellow-green color. Kind of looks like Saturn. With no rings. There's a moon here, and
5 is a gas giant.
there we go. It's a bright yellow-green. Almost like Venus nuclear green. I don't think there's going to be a gas. There are not cloud cities, unfortunately, on this one. We don't know. Yeah, look at this nuclear green colored gas giant.
And yet you need to have a midway drop-off to get from Pyro 3 over to Pyro 6 on the far side, because Pyro...
What is that?
A midway drop-off to get from Pyro 3 over to Pyro 6 on the
Yeah, hopefully. Look at this cloud surrounding Pyro 5. Look at this huge emission cloud surrounding it. So it's the largest object in the system, so it's probably bullying the star a little bit.
Far side, because Pyro's star system is far larger than Stanton.
Okay, Jim, thank
Golden
you.
Riviera is one of those sleazy towns which is just full of seedy people, absolutely taken over by the headhunters. They've butchered everything, they've changed how they want things to work. Trade
Yeah,
posts
but
are
with it,
possibly
if a
selling,
game doesn't
slave
look
pods
great,
and find other
why
illegal
play it?
goods.
You
But
can
it's
have a
just
good
central hub of,
story,
like, sleaziness.
but
Don't judge them.
It
If
is
it looks
still
like
filled
shit,
out of this
why
minimal
play it?
things that are laying around. It's very a hodgepodge of different things that come together. What makes Golden Riviera different is that now a tornado just went through the entire place.
oh,
It
you
is
will. You'll
absolute
get your
chaos.
tattoos.
Bits and bobs are laying around. Things have rusted, and you will find mattresses of where people have been sleeping in the weirdest corners. We can see that the people that have been living in the space have really outlived this location a little bit.
The idea is that these are once prosperous outposts that have since been like basically home invaded by the bad guys and taken over completely. So we use a lot of like more like fire and lots of spiked kind of like cladding and rusty
Probably,
metal elements just
Luna,
to give that
maybe.
kind of, I hesitate to say Mad Max, but kind of that more apocalyptic vibe, I suppose.
Jackson Swap, even though it is very improvised, it has a certain structure underneath it. And Golden Riviera this structure is nearly gone. It is really chaos, anarchy that this place really embodies.
Looks like a dump.
The players coming to our locations should feel like they are
Is that
encountering
Jared
whole new
in a
frontier
cage?
where people feel a little bit on edge and they're curious about you, but they're also hesitant to meet you at the same time. There is no law, there is no jurisdiction, there is no protection. There is just you and
Yeah,
people trying to
the
get by and live their
Spartan hit.
lives.
Did anyone else see
So, what
Jared
did we learn this
in a
week?
cage?
Well, hopefully that there's a whole lot more to Pyro than just being a jerk and destroying everything you see and touch. That while all the systemic gameplay systems of Stanton can be found there, Pyro arrives with a few new ones of its own. And that at launch, there are two primary factions that currently dominate much of Pyro's planetside. And your choice of allegiance will determine much about where you'll go and what you'll do with your time there. And if you were asking yourself, hey, do these two factions ever fight? Well, I'd say come back in 2 weeks to see not only how much they don't like each other, but how they both have to contend with the ongoing presence of Xenothreat as their neighbors. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here next week with a special Ship Showdown showcase look back at the work of superstar Gavin Rothery. He's so good.
So in 2 weeks, we learned more about these factions. It was split in two. Well, you can kind of already, I think. You can kind of already, I think. Right? Hold on, chat. Don't forget, Ship Showdown started today. Before I forget. Just the event, yeah. Window capture. So, hopefully next week we actually get progress tracker updates. So, I'm hoping we do. So, who do we got? Oh my! Right off the bat! Wow! Wow, chat. Look at this. I hate to say it, but the Mercury, she's seen better days, guys. I love the Mercury Star Runner, but the new hotness, the C1, kind of better. Because it's better designed inside. Sorry. I do love the Mercury, but that is funny. So we have STV versus Ursa Medevac, 890 versus 600i, Terrapin versus Gladiator. Really? Okay, this should be easy. Terrapin, because the Gladiator is actually useless. Fury LX versus M50. Vulture versus Reclaimer. What? What? Why? Why? Well, Vulture. Stulin versus Defender. Yeah, I know. But look at this one. What is this? Look at this. F8C versus F7C Hornet Mark II. Yeesh. That's going to be an interesting one. Yeah. I know, and that's why I want the Avenger Titan to be on the list, too. So let's see. What was added to the store? The 890 Showdown Edition is already sold out. Big surprise. Mole. Yeah. The Lightning. When did the Terrapin go up? Has it been up for a while? It's interesting. Yeah, the poor Avenger Titan, as loved as it is, doesn't get the love it should. I hate to admit it. Let's be real, guys. A lot of people I know, they started out with the Avenger Titan. A lot of people. I can comfortably say that too. That probably is why, sadly. I didn't want to say anything, but unfortunately, that's probably why. So, who do you think's going to make it through the first rings, guys? Figuratively. I think the Terrapin will lose to the 890 jump. Unfortunately, C1's winning right now. Good. Well, it should because it's cheaper than the Mercury, but it does virtually the same thing, minus the data in the ISC. No, did I miss something, Luna? I must have overlooked them. Did they change them again? Let me double check. Two minutes, 2 seconds. Roger. Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah, those are new. Those are new. Wow. Those are incredibly new. Look at that. Yeah, they do have the new MFTs. 228 is the timestamp, chat. What Luna is saying. 228. Which is exactly where we are. Look at this. It's a lot more readable. You can actually read them now. It does. Yeah. Really nice and clean, yeah. Definitely seems to be. I do too. It looks a lot better than it did. Target info. Lower right kind of looks like. Target info. It looks like it's lower right. Right here. If they could reverse it here, yeah. Yeah, because see, here's the Nomad stuff. Yeah. That's my guess, Jim. The compass. Compass. That's a good question. Interesting. It looks like it's like this. The compass has been integrated. I see compass markers in the 3D render down here. Maybe they merged the two. Because these look awfully like compass points. Do you see what I'm saying, Luna? North, south, east, or west. These white marks on the compass screen, to me, almost look like marks for the compass. And they're at 90-degree angles. It'll probably take some getting used to. It's not going to please everyone. More than likely, different UIs will look different. This is a Nomad we're looking at after all. Who knows what Drake or Gladius ones look like? I think the Drake one looks a lot more utilitarian. At least from what I've heard. Yeah. I don't know. I ordnance, gunner, general. Hmm. We're just going to have to see, guys. Yeah, the scanning UI will be an interesting nod. That'll tell me some things. What's this reference? FOG, fog. We'll just have to wait and see, guys. Because, like all things, you know, things can change, and they'll probably change some things too toward launch. You know. Subject to change, as usual. Either way, I'm just glad 320. Why am I echoing? Why am I echoing? Why am I echoing? Why am I echoing? Okay, that was weird. Sorry, chat. I literally blasted your eardrums. Hey, Halcyon Prime, how are you today? Very echoey, yes. We were just talking about ISC today. It's got some interesting stuff in it. Oh. I sound like I'm in a wind tunnel. Honestly, I'm voting Terrapin. Why? The Terrapin has no paint. Or the Gladiator. Well, The terrapin is your friend. The turtle is love. Remember that, chat. The turtle is your friend. I'm joking, of course. I know. I barely. I know it's because it's such a part of a ship. Luna, thank you for that. Everyone give Luna a star for the day. Give Luna a star for the day. Yes. Gold star. Good job, Jim. Okay, so right.
You can find different good
Hold on.
Base operative step.
Dorian skipping around. Okay.
From Pyro 5. Pyro 5 is a gas giant, and yet you need to have. There is not much land mass around Pyro.
See, the moons here look like they're a lot closer. Hey, Brian. The moons here look like they're a lot closer together, Luna. You know what I mean? Kinda, yeah. It's all good. See how close the moons are together here, Luna? This is more like the Jovian system than Crusader. Jumping from planet moon to moon here would be a lot easier. You got one here, one here, obviously, and
Pyro 5. Pyro.
I think these are the inner two moons. They covered a lot of that, Jim. What are you talking about? Are you sure you're not being... Covered a lot of the gameplay. The trading posts, the, places to go, things to do. Yeah, the faction battles look like they're going to be here in 2 weeks. Unfortunately. We had to deal with something regarding, oh Lord, what is it? Holy shit. We're having to deal with Ship Showdown this week. This next week. So it'll be 2 weeks. I know. I know you want to see the faction battles. So do I. I know. And I'm like, oh, geez. Do I want to get on there with lots of children?
Pyro 5 is a gas giant, and yet you need to have a midway drop-off to get from Pyro 3 over to Pyro 6 on the far side, because Pyro's star system is far larger than Stanton. Golden Riviera is one of those sleazy towns which is just full of seedy people, absolutely taken over by the headhunters. They've butchered everything, they've changed how they want things to work. Trade posts are possibly selling slave pods, can find other illegal goods, but it's just a central hub of like sleaziness.
Don't judge them.
It is still
Okay.
a lot of this minimal things that are
Yellow
going on. It's very
dark-sided.
a hodgepodge of different things that come together. What makes Golden Riviera different is that now a tornado just went through the entire place. It is absolute chaos. Bits and bobs are laying around, things have rusted, and you will find mattresses of where people have been sleeping in the weirdest corners. We can see that the people that have been living in the space have really outlived
Yeah, no
this
worries,
location a little
Dark-sided.
bit.
You're good.
The idea is that these are once prosperous outposts that have since been like basically home invaded by the bad guys and taken over completely. So we use a lot of like more like fire and lots of spiked kind of like cladding and rusty metal elements just to give that kind of, I hesitate to say Mad Max, but kind of that more apocalyptic vibe, I suppose.
Jackson Swap, even though it is very improvised, it has a certain structure underneath it. And Golden Riviera just, this structure is nearly gone. It is really chaos, anarchy that this place really embodies.
Love that helmet. Oh, look. It's Jared in a cage, folks. Jared in a cage.
Is coming to
See him? Take a picture. Yeah, there are turrets here, probably. Because we've seen them before. Look at the Jared in a cage. Oh my gosh. What did Jared do? Try to pawn something that doesn't work here? Hey, you. Huh? What are you doing here? I thought we told you you couldn't come back here.
our locations.
That has
we
to be
feel like
Jared.
they are encountering a whole new frontier where people feel a little bit on edge and they're curious about you, but
What do you
also
think?
hesitant to meet you at the same time.
I love that helmet. I love that helmet, folks. That helmet that looks like a Trojan. Yeah,
There is
outfit
no
and
law,
shades.
there is no
Yeah.
jurisdiction. There is no protection.
He's
There is just you
incognito,
and people trying
Luna.
to get by and live their lives.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, hopefully that there's a whole lot more to Pyro than just being a jerk and
It is
destroying everything you
Jared.
see in touch. But while all the systemic gameplay systems of Stanton can be found there, Pyro arrives with a few new ones of its own. And that at launch, there are two primary factions that currently dominate much of Pyro's planetside. And your choice of allegiance will determine much about where you'll go and what you'll do with your time there. And if you were asking yourself, hey, do these two factions ever fight? Well, I'd say come back in 2 weeks to see not only how much they don't like each other, but how they both have to contend with the ongoing presence of Xenothreat as their neighbors. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here next week with a special Ship Showdown showcase look back at the work of superstar Gavin Rothery. He's so good.
Didn't Todd Peppy get fired? No, he didn't get fired. I don't think he did. Oh, that's what I need to cover. That's what I need to cover. Oh, he was laid off. Well, he has royalties, Jim, on his voice. So there is that. they still have to pay him royalties. So that's how that works. You can't use stuff even digitally without consent or a legal binding contract. So I mean, they could, but I'll tell you this much, it wouldn't look great. Depending on the agreement, they could, Luna, but honestly, it wouldn't be good PR for them. Just my opinion. They have so many other irons in the fire to deal with. What am I looking for? What the? And you are right, is totally dependent on the agreement. The agreement. We could go. Um. Hmm. Hmm. Excuse me. Now, before I forget, and trust me, I'm very bad at that. Luna basically helped me with something today. So thank you for that, Luna. I need to remind everyone that contested zones and asteroid bases is tomorrow for SCL. Ship Showdown kicked off today. Saturday will be XGR Racing. And tomorrow and next week, there's the rumor of the progress tracker finally getting an update. I hope. We shall see, though, depending on how the dice roll. Sure, a lot of you guys are wondering what else is going on in the dark side of things, like I am. Do you know it's been almost 8 months since they have updated the progress tracker? 8 months, folks. What is this? Unfortunately, today's stream too will be shorter than I'd like. I have a meeting at 4 o'clock CDT. It's almost 1 here, but I'm not going anywhere for another hour. But here in a bit, I'm going to have to eat an impromptu lunch. That way I can make it to my meeting. Y'all understand when it comes to business stuff. Just, it can be fun sometimes. Did we get any sneak peeks this week? That's what I want to know. Yeah, me too. It's not going to be for a while, though, yet, Jim. Not for another hour or two that I get off. So, no worries. Let's see. Huh. I'm looking for something. Sorry. Uh, sources. Yeah, there was a new Crusader class engine of a new Crusader class ship. A lot of people are thinking it's Crusader. I hope it is because I love Crusader a lot. But honestly, I don't think, well, it might be Crusader, but I don't think it's going to be as big as the Ares. It's going to be a small ship, meaning maybe Avenger Titan size, which would be a really unusual area of the market to go. Hopefully, but it does make sense. Crusader makes a lot of bombers and stuff. We shall see. I would expect them to try to at least go with a nomad size ship, maybe like a light freighter or something similar, something in that size category, Jim. Yeah, I can see it too, Dark Sided. RSI has a starter. It's the Aurora. So that's why I don't think it's RSI. Anvil. The Gladius is getting a lot of minor upgrades, but it does need some major ones at that. Right. So, man, the Vanguards, I've heard that for a while because they're so poppable, Yeah. The Vanguards easily get popped. Which is a shame because a lot of people main the Vanguard series. They're basically smaller versions of the Redeemer. Okay, now I will say this. The one ship I wish they would come out with soon, sooner than later, guys, is the Perseus. The Perseus, the Polaris, everybody's, yeah, repeaters just get some big. I really love the Perseus design. It's got that aggressive, narrow triangle shape that I love from Star Wars. You know, the Imperial Star Destroyer shape. ISD. It's got that narrow profile that's mean, lean, and gets the job done clean. That being said, the Perseus can technically function as a command ship. It's got that bridge set up, you know, where it overlooks the bow. The A2 is kind of similar vein. Good alternative, but for me it looks like a Quasar class freighter, light carrier, you know, Quasar class. The Empire had a bunch of those. Not sure if you guys are familiar with the Quasar class light carrier. Yeah, exactly. Dark sided. It's a very underutilized Imperial ship, but in using the conjunction with the right flanking ships, it can be devastating. I wish we would have a ship like that, mainline ship, you know, eventually. A fighter, a carrier that could haul in a half a dozen fighters in a bay like that, protected by air shields, and then just fly them out. Yeah, I hmm. So dark sided. What else ships do you have besides your Perseus? Out of curiosity. I'm kind of curious. Do you have any other RSI big ships? For me, I have quite a few. So, Yeah, the Quasar class is a huge triangle. You don't have a Perseus yet? You wish you did, though, right? I think what I meant to say was I wish we had a fighter hangar like it. You know, a carrier that behaves like the Quasar. It has enough shields. It has, stuff that can take it. Not as big, because let's face it, Quasar is huge. Oh, okay. So you have a Nomad and a Glad that you do a lot of dogfight now. You started with a Titan. The Titan is one of those ships that is very underestimated, I feel. Avenger Titan, yeah, I understand. Titan's one of those ships that's so underestimated, people laugh at it, but they shouldn't. I don't know why they think it's funny. It's your old faithful. Yeah, I'm looking at getting it again with LTI later this fall. I'm gonna rebuy a LTI token and upgrade it to a Titan or Titan Renegade. Something similar, right? The interior of the Nomad is its big selling point. It's like a home away from home in a box, basically. Like a mini camper, you know? The Nomad's interior is its big selling point. I'll tell you that. Definitely. I am going to let some folks know something. If I don't have any special plans for Christmas, I'm doing a 20 or 12-hour stream. Starting Christmas Eve, I will be doing a 12-hour stream starting at 6 in the morning and getting off at 6 at night. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm also doing an anniversary stream probably in about a few months. I think January, early January. I have a big one coming up. My first year as an affiliate. It's gonna be fun. Trust me, it'll be fun. Oh, the Nomad's your friend, that's for sure. While I'm just sitting here talking, I am probably gonna have to go make lunch here in a minute. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, wow. What happened? What happened? You hit pause, dark-sided? Oops. Hmm. Has anyone seen this video before? This is by Galactic Geography, and it showcases the change of the boundaries of the human empire. Go ahead and give them a follow, too. I might have, but it's worth mentioning again because it's a good video. It just shows our political boundaries and how they've changed, you know, over the eons. Oh, I might have to change where my I might have to change where my window is. Huh. How did that happen? There we go. It just shows the political borders. No worries, Luna. Really recommend this channel. Now you can see how long ago we are. Long time ago. There's the Van Duel. They first appear. Ryan. No worries, Luna. Go ahead and eat. There's our home. Right now, Stanton. Guy's pretty good. I'll admit. That being said, obviously, I isn't it amazing how small human space was at one point, chat? Small, like only a couple of systems. And then later on in time, we expanded, got further beyond Earth, Sol, you know, generally an outbound kind of movement. I will say this, though he makes a good video timeline, the best one is by our good friend Paul Shelley, who makes the gigantically complicated history of the verse video. We're already up to part 4 in those videos, and my goodness. Whew, it takes a lot for him to do and complete those videos. Sometimes taking him multiple months. It's been a series for his channel for probably, I don't know, 2 years now, Dark Side, if you're still there. It's been every bit of a massive undertaking, though. Well, that will be changing, though, Dark Side. That is changing steadily. There are places to find the lore. I suspect at some point there will be in-game libraries. Which would be interesting and to have, because I mean, I get it, it's been out of the game for a long time, but yeah. Right now they don't because the game is still in its early infancy, kind of. Oh. So, okay. One thing I've argued is why we don't have parks in places like Hurston and a few other places. Plazas. You're funny. Well, I was joking. Honestly. There are a few places you can find scattered bits of lore here and there, but it does need to come in a little bit more strongly. I'll put it that way. Kind of surprised nobody's even online today. It's kind of late, isn't it? Or early? Okay. Yeah, I did start early. That's a good point, Dark Side. Well, I did, but there's a reason why. It's because I have, unfortunately, things to do this afternoon, which sucks. I, oh my gosh. Ugh. Yeah, it's almost new at 1 here. My appointment's in 3 hours. I hate dealing with people in job situations. You know, I'm gonna try to go over 2 hours here, and hopefully I can. So dark sided. Before I forget, um, are you ever gonna go to a Citizen Con like I intend to? At some point, I want to so badly go to Citizen Con. I know, and they need a codex like that, Luna. That's the problem. They've needed that codex system for a while. Yeah, that's how I feel too, dark-sided. Austin would be the closest one to me. It would have to be in Austin or Houston or somewhere. You know, like Dallas. Austin honestly might be too small for the direction it's going. They may have to go to Dallas, which would be perfect because I live in Oklahoma, folks. I'm like right across the Red River. And then I could truck down there and have a good time. And that would be fun. Really fun. Hmm. Oh. Oh, shoot. You live in Halifax? Man, that's too far to drive, dude. Way too far. You can't drive that. It's not good for you. Halifax to Oklahoma City would be bad enough, but going to Houston or Austin, that'd be a massive drive for you. Would they ever do it in New York? That's a good question. I don't know if there are any CIG studios in New York. Are there? There's one in Toronto. I know there is. You're in Nova Scotia, so it might be easier if you go to the Nova Scotia, the Toronto one. Of course, I know nothing about geography of Canada. I'm just assuming. Right. Fair enough. Same thing for me, unfortunately. It would have to be within a day's drive, under a day's drive for me, both ways. Uh, featuring the Astropub. Yeah, and I have no problem admitting that yeah, Toronto would probably be the closest you could get safely. I might fly for that one if it happens and we could hook up, but link up, but I don't know. I've never been comfortable with the idea of flying in a little tin can. Sorry. I don't like the idea of flying in a tin can in the air and getting hurt. Ugh, man. Right. Totally understand. I get it. I mean, it's ease of access, basically. Yeah. The problem is, I don't know of any CIG studios in that area of the country. I don't think they have any. I mean, I could be wrong and don't know, you know, but yeah. Are the drivers out there pretty bad? That's why I'm asking. Or is it just rude people? Figured I'd ask. Hold that thought. I'll be right back. I gotta stand up for a minute. Stand up for a minute. I'm coming back. Coming back. Whoa. I'm back. Sorry about that, chat. Okay. Sorry about that, chat. Oh, you don't even speak the language? Well, that is kind of hard to understand, you know, if you don't understand the dialect. Oh, fair enough. Totally understand. Trust me, I get it. Totally understand. I mean, anyways, chat, it's almost 1:15 here. I'm going to have to send you on Twitch to a different channel. So apologies for that. See who I could raid, who'd appreciate it. Let's go with somebody who's hopefully playing Star Citizen. Let's go with Dora. Dora the Explorer. They're the lucky winner today. Please give Dora a follow. Y'all, y'all have a great day.